What is up, you guys? I'm back with another story time video, and this one's a little bit interesting. This happened to me about a week and a half ago. I had no idea that I was gonna make a story time out of it, and this is extremely impromptu. I really wanted to film it. This is not on my usual camera. This is on my webcam. I'm sorry if it looks weird, but I just really wanted to get this story out. Mini disclaimer, I just wanted to say that I literally ask anybody, my friends, my family, anyone that knows me really well. I attract the fucking crazies in my life. I've just had what seemed to be crazy or mentally unstable people in my life. It has caused me so much anxiety and ruined so many opportunities for me. So I want to share these stories so hopefully you guys can learn from my mistakes. I don't want to label myself. I just am what I am. Guys, girls, whoever fucking comes along. I just don't want to slap a label on it. I go on Tinder, flipping through, and usually I'm just like X. It's very rare for me to find someone that I swipe right on because everyone to me just seems a little bit crazy, and I don't have time for crazy in my life. I've had too much of it. I saw this one guy in his profile picture. You could obviously tell he was a teacher. I was like, I know this guy. Like, I've seen him before in my school. So I screenshotted it. I sent it to my sister, who then sent it to our brother, who confirmed that it was a teacher that we had in middle school. He was a substitute teacher. And I was like, oh my god, I found him on Tinder. So I like swiped right, thinking like if he matches with me, this would be so fucking funny. And of course, we matched. You're probably having some weird idea of some like old creepy scientist dude in your head. Obviously I can't show a picture and I'm not going to. He was actually really young for a teacher, and especially if he was a teacher for me in middle school, like he's still young, like that's pretty young. So it's not like he was some old weird creepy dude or anything. In school I remember all the jocks used to like hang around him. I don't know, they just like always loved him, and he was known as like the hot substitute. So I was really interested. Why is this matching with sorry, my cats are going crazy in the background. Matching with a 21-year-old, blue-haired, pierced up, what the fuck ever. Like, it pretty much, my Tinder bio is straight up me. It's just like, agoraphobic as fuck. I have 11 animals. I am lame. Shit like that. So I want to say half of this was like interest in him. The other half was me trying to figure out like the psychological reasoning behind like what did he want from me, because I could tell it was something more than just like sexual. Before we hung out, I texted him for a couple days because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be like some Dexter ass shit where he was going to throw me in the back of his fucking car and I was never going to be seen again. I just had to make sure that like, I mean, I know he's a teacher, but I just need to make sure that he was like kind of normal. I wanted to get the vibe. So I wanted to see if we vibed on like a personality type level, to see if it was going to be awkward or not hanging out with him, because if we didn't click in any type of way, then I would just say fuck it and not even go along with it at all. But we seemed to really be clicking, and he was acting very interested. He was really trying to pursue me really hard and saying like, oh, I hope things like work out. I really hope I can be with you one day, which I thought was pretty forward for saying to someone who you've never met, who is over 10 years younger than you. A little weird. We finally made plans and we hung out. I had him pick me up at my house, and then we just went to a park, like a local park. It was pretty busy, like it was a public park, so I knew like I wasn't gonna die or anything. I swear to God, we walked for miles. We walked around the Detroit River, around that area. The next day my legs were dead, but we were just getting to know each other. He was kind of poking fun at me like literally every single fucking possible way that you can. You know how when you're in the like 3rd grade and a guy likes a girl, or vice versa, the guy tend to like poke on the person that they have a crush on and like make fun of them even though they secretly really like him or her? That is what I thought he was doing. You know, it's something that I always try to find psychological meanings behind things, so I thought that's what he was doing. Even though he was significantly older, he had no reason to be nervous. I was like, okay, that's probably what he's doing. But from my YouTube to my personal life and like things as personal as my anxiety, he was making fun of me, especially my agoraphobia. And then when I confronted him about it later, he said that he wasn't intentionally trying to make fun of me. He was just trying to understand the situation in like a lighthearted way. But like, you don't make fun of someone and laugh at someone to their face the way he did for not being being able to leave the house and this, that, and the other thing and say, oh, I was just trying to understand. I'm sure you're wondering if I told him he was my teacher or not. I actually ended up telling him while we were walking. I couldn't keep it in anymore. He was making fun of me and he was acting so immature. I was like, what is it gonna hurt, like, if I told him? And it really didn't shock him. He was like, oh, like, it didn't faze him. He was totally fine by it. So I was like, maybe this isn't one of the first times he's, like, pursued a student. I guarantee you it's not the first time he's pursued a student. So he continued to poke fun at me, but I still stayed because number one, he picked me up, so he was my ride home, and I didn't want to just be like, take me home. And number two, I thought maybe once he got less nervous, he'd open up and get a little bit more personal and not as haha, everything's a fucking joke. The night went on, he was just talking about my presence on the internet. Aside from him talking about him being a teacher and saying really offensive things about him and his work, he would just talk about my presence online and like YouTubing and stuff like that. And he would say really weird things that I've like never heard anybody say before when I was having a conversation about my YouTube. He would say things like, do you ever wonder there are a bunch of guys jacking off to your videos instead of, you know, girls watching it to get makeup advice? Like, and I was just kind of like stood back because usually when I have conversations with other people about my YouTube, they're like, oh wow, that's really cool. They'll ask a couple questions like, how long have you been doing that? My cats are fucking having a war behind me, and then they'll be like, oh, that's really awesome, and then I'm like, thank you, and the conversation ends. He was very persistent and very, 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 very weird. It's not like I was sitting there like, do you ever wonder if your students sit there and jack off to you in class? Or like, do you ever wonder if your students go home and think about you while they're in the fucking shower? It was so weird. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward a little bit. This is the next day. I'm home. I knew it wasn't going to continue. I knew from hanging out with him the first time that our personalities didn't vibe and he wasn't someone that I was interested in pursuing or getting to know just because of how ignorant and closed-minded he was being. We literally just disagreed on anything, so I told him straight up 100%, look, I know this isn't gonna work. Like, after talking to him for a little while, I was like, this isn't gonna work. We clash so much. You're so much older than I am. Like, there's just so many differences between him and I. So I told him that, and I said, just the way we think, it's not the same way of thinking. I don't want to be with someone who I can't vibe with. But he couldn't get it through his head that I was like rejecting him. He's like, no, we totally were vibing. We really got along. I really liked you and I really want to be with you. And so he was saying all this weird ass shit. He was saying something like, we have such a good connection and you know it. I don't know, just like we connected and you know it. Like, you know, just like a really weird way. And I was just like, what? He was acting like we were practically together. Like, he called me his girlfriend at one point and I'm like, dude, we hung out once and I've been talking to you for like a week. I'm not your girlfriend. One of the biggest things we disagreed on was my presence online and how much of myself that I share and how, I guess, old-fashioned he is and how he's a very private person and stuff like that. And so he was like very offended by everything I did online. And he was just like making fun of me about it. Next day when I finally decided, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna play along. I'm gonna reverse psychology this and like play him at his own game. And I started joking around about it too. And I was like, yeah, guys probably are jacking off or some dumb shit like that. Like, I was just like matching what he was saying. And he's like, you know what, I'm not okay with that. Then he completely flipped around, telling me that certain presences of me online were not allowed. I wasn't allowed to do certain things. He was practically controlling me or trying to control me. And if you're old-fashioned, don't think that we're together after one date. I also thought he was extremely immature, and not just by everything I told you. When he would talk about his work, he would say things like, yeah man, I teach in the ghetto. And by the way, he's a fucking high school teacher. He works at a fucking high school, and he's over here talking about how because most of his students are from like the Detroit area, most of them are black, so he would say something like, I'm from the hood, like you aren't even from these streets, you don't even know what this is about. And he would be talking some weird gangster shit. And then I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You are like a 30-some-year-old dude. Absolutely no self-awareness of how lame they were actually being. Like, at this point, I'm fucking a bemused. He even said something like, I'm pretty much black. I'm down with the Negroes. You don't know anything about me or like these streets. And I'm like, you are whiter than I am. Please stop. I mean, those are just some of the reasons why it goes to show you that I wasn't down with it at all. And that also goes to show you that maturity does not come with age. It comes with, number one, experience, and number two, actions. What you do, how you represent yourself, not so much how old you are. Moving on, so I told him, but he literally was not having it, and he was being really rude to me, and he kept like saying really, really rude things, and then he was finally like, you know what, if you don't want to talk to me, then just block me, because I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop trying. And I was like, dude, no, that's weird. And because we live so close, and a lot of like my family knows his family, like he knows where like fucking 53% of my family lives. I'm like, I don't want to end on any bad blood, like let's just, you know, remain civil and whatever. And he's like, no, just block me, or I'm gonna keep trying, I'm gonna keep trying and texting you. I stopped texting him back, so then he started messaging me on Snapchat, and he's like, just block me already. And I'm like, dude, please stop, like this is getting really annoying. And I know I probably should have just blocked him at that moment, but I really didn't think that he was this immature. The next day I wake up to a Snapchat message saying something like, what's up, slut? And then a couple hours later he said something like, how many guys did you get to jack off for you today? And then there was a picture, and I clicked on it, and he sent me a snap of the stalls of his bathroom toilet at school, at his high school that he teaches at. He sent me a picture of piss and shit together in a toilet. I don't know if that was his piss and shit, but he was basically, I took that as, oh, I think this little of you, here's a picture of piss and shit because that's all you're worth. And he told me, I'm going to continue to harass you. He said, I am going to harass you until you block. And that's when I was just like, okay, I'm done. And I said, dude, there is seriously something wrong with you. And then I blocked him completely. Since then, I have had no contact with him, thank fucking God. He hasn't tried to contact me on any other social media or like Facebook or any other random numbers or anything. And I'm so glad, because he kind of freaked me the fuck out, to be honest. No wonder he doesn't have a girlfriend. And I don't think he'll have one anytime soon. That just goes to show you that Tinder is fucking creepy, and you really need to get to know people before you hang out with them. Even if they used to be your fucking teacher, or even if they're a high school teacher, don't trust that, because they could be really fucking weird. And the funny ironic thing is, he even made fun of me saying, oh, you're gonna make a video about how you went out with this really old high school teacher, even though he wasn't that old. He was just making fun of himself because he was really insecure. And it's funny how it turned out me ending up actually making a video about him. So here you go. You're welcome, sir. Thank you for that experience. It was nice, you know, to get out of the house for the day. But other than that, I want nothing to do with you. You are really fucking weird, and you don't fucking say that to people. You're really fucked up. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you stuck all the way through, you're the real MVP. Smash that thumbs up button if you want to hear more storytime videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. You know I love you so much, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao.